Good morning, everyone, and welcome once again to our newspaper review segment right here on TVC Breakfast. As usual, we'll run through the headlines today and would come back to discuss some of the issues we would be seeing today. President Tinubu commissions Maitama Gishiri Bridge. This is from the Nation newspaper. Kentape Jai Mabushiling roads today. Again, the continuation of the commissioning of projects by the president in the FCT, which we saw Minister Wike yesterday dancing.
Won't you dance if you
Go there, that song must be played.
But Wike is always excited when he sees things like that. But that's, the conversation on the Nation newspaper. As we quickly make our way to the Tribune newspaper this morning, in a few minutes, I'll get right there. And we see again the same headline as well, but there's something else right here. SEC is ordering public companies to release old dividends. Veronica just mentioned the fact that, but this time around is in something else. And so SEC is saying all companies should release that. We'll delve into that a bit later. In the Leadership newspaper this morning, something else a little different from... would I use the word what we have seen, even though the advert of the FCT is also making the rounds right here. But look at this, democracy at 26. Politicians are the problem of Nigeria. A good meat to chew this morning, people. So hold on, we will be right back on that. And quickly, as we get to the Daily Trust newspaper, Daily Trust is sharing something else with us. Protest, this is for June 12th, against hardship insecurity to hold in 20 states, quoting the organizers. We'll dig deep into that in a few minutes. And this Nigeria will be our next paper this morning to see the headline right there. On this Nigeria, don't be distracted by busybodies. Tinubu to Wike. Yeah, we saw that yesterday. And so, I'm sure the FCT minister would heed strongly to that advice. The Daily Independent would be our next to look at this morning. PDP leaders mock Wike, others for affirming Anyawu as Scribe. I wonder why this issue is still hanging in the air. By now? Okay, we'll look into that later. And the Punch newspaper would be our next to look at the headline this day. Again, the issue of the FCT is right boldly there as we quickly run to the Blueprint newspaper. Same thing again, but something else right here. Fuel subsidy, $840 billion proceeds used for 40 road project. We saw that yesterday and we're seeing that again today. It seems, the government is trying to let us know, hey, we are working. We're working. All right, quickly to the Platform Times as we see something else right there. CBEX returns after disappearing with investors' funds, demands $200 for account reactivation. Ria, we talked about that yesterday. Maybe you'd give us more insight today. And the Guardian newspaper would be our next as we see what is making the rounds right there. Less than 30% public schools have computer labs and ICT savvy pupils. Really? Okay. We'll dig deep into that again. And finally, on one of my very best papers ever on the table, The Sporting Life. I love it. And today I have it. Oh, but unfortunately, let me wipe my tears. Basi is Nigeria's most featured player. Not your Sime again.
Way playership.
But these are the headlines we're seeing this morning. Let's quickly run, ladies and gentlemen, to the Nation newspaper right here. National Assembly molds extension of 2024 budget capital vote. And something else right here. No going back on infrastructure upgrades, says the president. Etoma, let me pick you on this one. I mean, so far we're looking for more infrastructures across the country, be it roads, hospitals, schools and all of that. It would take a consistency of building all that that is dilapidated, and building the ones that was not even there for, might I say, 16 years to get to where we are. We should be.
Yeah, we should be. And it was a very appropriate statement to make by Mr. President, especially because when he made the statement, he was commissioning one. You understand? So it was quite appropriate. I said it yesterday or so that Wike likes building. He likes building. And then the Minister for Works is also another person that likes building. But let's forget about that and look at the importance of infrastructure for the economy of the country. That is what we need for things to work. We need good infrastructure. When we're talking about infrastructure, we're not just talking about roads and buildings and all that. We're also talking about systems. These systems have to be built, because when this is done, it is easier for small and medium-scale businesses to thrive. Small and medium-scale businesses are the biggest employer of labor anywhere in the world.
Absolutely.
So at the end of the day, infrastructure trickles down to that, and it affects it positively.
And Vero, let me take you to the Nigerian Tribune right here. Toma just raised a very salient point. Systems as one of the infrastructures we need. We see here ASU is declaring no pay, no work, any month's salary is delayed. No pay, no work. Or should I say, yeah, no pay, no work. I thought it would have been no work, no pay.
That's government's own.
Oh, that's government's own. Yes. No pay, no work.
Government's own is no work, no pay. But they are now saying no pay, no work.
This is a system we're talking about, isn't it?
We are building an interesting system.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, this is happening again in our education system or sector, as the case may be. Recall that during former President Muhammadu Buhari's tenure, they went on a series of strikes trying to push the agreements they said they had with government, and that government reneged on. And the government now said, you know what? No work, no pay. And that's where we saw the former Minister of Education talking about a lot of things. And then here we are now, they're saying there have been delays in our salaries. Sometimes we do not receive these monies. And so we are going to do it in this manner. No pay, no work. But who are the ones that bear the brunt at the end of the day? How much of a damage is this causing on our education system? Nigerians, we've seen them leave the country in droves to get education outside the country.
That's right.
This is weakening the structure of our education, and we need to sit tight and look at what we need to do to build our education system, because whatever we want to do, the future of this country is hanging on the balance if we are not addressing the rot, the disadvantages we are seeing in our education system, and all of the challenges. If they are not holistically addressed, then there is a problem.
And Ria, speaking of Nigerians leaving the country to other parts, some time ago we used to hear that a lot of Nigerians come to Ghana.
Yeah, to go to school. Education in Ghana is quite very good and stable. And when you look at the reason why...
Look at you,
no, I'm not. I'm Nigerian. Everybody knows I'm Nigerian. But everybody knows I'm now Nigerian.
But now?
Yes, now Nigerian. But let me take it back to the fact that some of the Nigerians I used to see in Ghana at that time, they'll tell me some of the reasons why they're coming to Ghana is because of the strike. So you see, maybe you have to spend 4 years in university. In Ghana, you spend your straight 4 years. But in Nigeria, maybe there's an ASU strike, there's something. So you see they're spending like 5 years, 6 years. So that's one of the main reasons why they always say, oh no, we want to study abroad. Now I'm talking about this ASU thing. It's sad that we are still talking about it till now. These are people that are supposed to receive their monies, because when ASU has problem, who suffers? The student suffers. You cannot want to study medicine for a particular amount of years and then you stay longer because... So it's just sad that these people are not still receiving their money. And if they say no pay, no work, I really totally agree with them, because it's high time we've been speaking about this.
And I talk about this Nigeria, the president told Wike yesterday, don't be distracted by busybodies. Alluding
if
to
your
the
son is doing matter. If your son is doing well, what will you tell him?
Abio.
Yes.
The man was commissioning something beautiful.
Yeah.
And he knows that there are quite a number of other things that he will commission, spearheaded by Wike. So he will tell him, look, man, don't be distracted, or continue.
I mean, after all,
because you are doing well.
ICC is now Bola Tinubu International Conference Center.
Yes, that is. It's good in the sense that his name has been immortalized. I mean, Mr. President's name has been immortalized, and the infrastructure that Wike chose to immortalize Mr. President's name is a very good one, is a very strong one. And he also said, look, this center is world class and will need a lot of maintenance. And I said, okay, that is where we have issues.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me take you to the Daily Independent, you know, this PDP wahala again. I was thinking by now, this matter of who is the secretary is settled, and they're not ready to get into the wing to play the ball. What's going on here?
You know that this is what Wike has always spoken about, that the agreement is for this person to be the secretary of the party. And that's one of the issues that they have. That's where he kept talking about an agreement is an agreement. And so if he and the G5 governors are saying, this is the person we know, we want the ticket zoned, I think, to the south again, and they are still pushing that conversation, I think the party needs to sit down and have a rethink. How do we come together and work in the interest of the party if we say whatever we are doing is not in our own selfish interest but in the interest of the people? What are we talking about when we are talking about the thriving democracy? We are celebrating 26 years, and these are the things we are seeing with regards to the political parties in this country. Is this why people say we are nascent? Is this why we are still seeing a lot of challenges and not seeing that development that we need as a country? Because those who should play the opposition are not doing the needful. So I think the party members should just sit down and have a conversation. They are mature people. They are mature people, and then they should know, with their years of experience in politics, they should know what to do.
So I know that they're supposed to have a conversation August 2025. They've not picked a date yet, but they're supposed to have a conversation. And now this conversation is shaky because people are saying Sheyi Makinde is saying stuff, Wike too is saying that these are two best friends that right now have gone south. Well, so I cannot wait to see what will come out of that conversation. If it holds, I want it to hold so that we see, you know, what comes out of it. Because for the PDP, it's one thing or the other. Well,
the Punch and the Blueprint are actually speaking on the same thing, the commission of the projects in the FCT. So I'd like us to run quickly to the Platform Times. Ria, this is, you know, a conversation on the CBEX issue we treated yesterday. CBEX is saying have returned after disappearing with investors' fund. I mean, if I was an investor who lost money into that, I think I'd be glad, right?
No, glad?
They're coming back now.
But is the impunity for me? Why were they not arrested? Because we know that the EFCC got into the case at some point. So what happened? And that's why we talk about accountability. We don't follow through to see what happened. We know that EFCC came with this case and said that they are going deep into it. Now my problem is, how can you even imagine it? How can you come back after you've stolen people's money and you come back and say they should bring? They did not just come back and say they are bringing out the money, Nelson. Yeah. They came back and said bring money to revive.
the boldness.
It's the impunity for me. I really want to know who is in charge of this CBEX. Like, who are these people? Like, cause
why do you want to go ask what's the magic?
So bold.
Ria, before I get to it, did you invest in CBEX?
God forbid, I don't do things like that. I want to see where my money is.
Oh, yeah, remember you said you're a traditional person. but talking about the Guardian newspaper here, we're seeing less than 30% public schools have computer labs and ICT, you know, savvy pupils. It's a little worrisome, really, in an age as we live now.
Yes.
30%?
Look, when I saw the headline, I said, why don't you give us the actual figure? Don't say less than 30%, because the actual figure is less than 10%. If I want to look at it from my experience going to one school or the other, you know, how many schools have an ICT lab? You can count them. Your left finger. I'm talking about the Lagos that is cosmopolitan, Lagos that is fantastic and all that. We just don't have. We've been playing lip service. Everybody buys a phone for his child because he wants the child to know how to surf the internet, how to do homework and all that. But the schools themselves, do they invest as they should invest in ICT? The answer is a big no. It's much, much less than 30%. From what I have seen.
And Vero, still on the Guardian newspaper, you know, Obi is saying the days of impunity is over. and remember yesterday we took a story that, you know, the president said, look, he's not an alternative, he's just power hungry. but to this statement he's made, yeah, the days of impunity are over. And remember we talked about the conversation around institutional, structures and all of that. Are we there yet?
Well, it depends from what perspective you're looking at it. Talking about impunity, accountability, and all of the T's that you might want to talk about. I'm wondering what structure has been put in place to addressing impunity that he is speaking about. A majority of Nigerians will look at this differently. We just spoke about CBEX and how it is that they had the guts to return and to also extort people again, saying you must bring in money, you cannot withdraw your money, but you must bring money to be able to access your money, not necessarily withdrawing it at the end of the day. So if we're talking about impunity, we need to begin from ourselves. Are we taking responsibility to be people who ensure that we work according to the rule of law? Are we ensuring that we do not involve ourselves in things that would enshrine impunity? Are we also ensuring that we are not people who enable impunity as well? Because I saw one of the stories where some groups were condemning democracy and saying that we have come this far, there's not much to be seen in our democracy. And I'm saying you also are the ones that baptize some persons and say that, oh, you people, we support you, we give you our backing and all, and here you are saying, oh, we haven't done well with our democracy. If we're talking about democracy, it is not about the current administration, it is successive administrations and those who supported them. And so if you supported them and they did not deliver, you too supported impunity. If impunity thrived, if anything happened that was wrong, it was you that said, these persons, we support them, we see they are able to deliver for us. And so we haven't had that structure that addresses impunity in my own perspective. So until we begin to tell ourselves the truth regarding the matters around impunity and how we as a people have contributed to its thriving in the society, in our country, then we will now say we are addressing it.
Indeed. And Ria, quickly before we get to the sporting life, the leadership newspaper, boldly talked about democracy at 26, and politicians, according to the Affirming and a few other groups are saying that politicians are the problem of Nigeria.
Do we agree with that or not?
The question went to you.
I throw the question back to Mr. Toma. Are they the cause of the problems?
Questions like that, it always depends on where you stand. If you're a politician, you say, no way. If you're not a politician and you're somebody that is against what the politicians are doing, you say exactly that is how it is. Did I answer the question right? Because I didn't say yes or no. However, we see a lot of self-interest in our politicians. We see them do things that really do not go down well with the people, and they champion it, they push it, they do everything they can to ensure that they get their way. That's why we see a lot of decamping from one party to another, another party to another. So when you want to look at it from that angle, you might say yes.
No answer.
You might say yes. No, there's questions like this do not need a yes or no.
You can give a yes or no answer. So for me, I said no.
Right.
I said no because the politicians did not get there. Someone voted them in. Someone said that we support you to be there. So as you are pointing an accusing finger, the remaining four are pointing back at you.
So you put the person.
It is not a matter of.
I have a question for you.
Speaking about somebody voted you in, there was a story we took yesterday on the news. A particular section of the country, are championing that their governor, their current governor, should run for the Senate. And I was wondering, my heavens.
Yeah, but Monica, quick question. What if you put the person there and the person changes when the person gets into power?
That's the bottom line.
To our last newspaper this morning, ladies and gentlemen, the sporting life, Basi is Nigeria's most featured player. That's exciting. Basi is your brother, Toma.
He's your brother too. He's your brother too. So if it's the most featured, thank God that something good is coming from there.
Indeed.
Absolutely.
But I think that's how far we can go on the newspaper review segment this morning. I wish we had only time to speak more. How well has Nigeria progressed since the return to democracy in 1999? Join us after the break as we examine the country's advancement, challenges, and the way forward. Stay with us.